Hi everyone, it's Miss Greta, school-based occupational therapist. In our video today, we're going to talk about gross motor skills, which are the larger muscle movements used to do things such as walking, running, postural control, skipping, transferring on and off pieces of furniture, or navigating the classroom or school environment. We discuss fine motor skills and how these develop and refine between the ages of 3 and 6 years old, which are the smaller motor movements. However, these fine motor skills are interdependent on the larger gross motor skills, and they rely on these larger movements for things such as support, as well as coordination and body control. Coordination and equilibrium are controlled in the lower brain areas such as the cerebellum. These lower brain functions perform and control things such as posture, gross motor movement, and a child's vestibular sense, which is their sense of movement. Therefore, gross motor skills are so essential. These large motor movements are needed to be automatic in a child to provide balance, coordination, and posture in order for the things such as reading and writing and having the stability for the fine motor skills to occur. The higher brain functions that happen in the cerebral cortex, such as reading and writing, depend on the performance of these gross motor skills to be automatic and fluid for a child. And while it's so important for these higher brain functions to occur, such as reading and writing, the whole brain needs to work together in order for all these movements to work smoothly at the same time. Full body movements work together and they train the whole brain and support the more intricate and involved tasks that a child is performing. However, if these gross motor movements and these lower brain movements are not automatic, then the higher areas of the brain need to assist in these controlled movements and the gross motor movements, and therefore that's taking away from the performance areas such as things including fine motor skills, reading or writing, and things like that. Therefore, it's so important to have your child continue to develop these gross motor skills and perform a variety of gross motor activities. It's so integral to develop these larger muscle groups, which will in turn become stronger and more automatic. And then therefore your child will have stronger balance, stronger posture, and stronger control, and it'll be automatic. So then the higher brain activities can focus on the smaller movements and things such as learning to read and learning to write and holding the head steady for scanning and looking at things around the classroom. Any gross motor movements you can do with your child are beneficial. However, tasks and activities that combine using both sides of the body simultaneously or using your arms and your legs together are twice as effective. Like I said, fine motor skill refinement happens between the ages of 3 and 6 years old, and they're so important to continue to develop those as well. However, at the ages of 3 to 4 is when the gross motor movements and using both sides of the body at the same time are also being fine-tuned. So that's why we need to continue to focus on the gross motor movements as well. Crossing midline is when a child uses their right hand to reach for something across the table or the desk to the opposite side of the body. And this is a movement that is so important because it's showing that the two sides of the brain are communicating properly. Integrating communication on both sides of the brain also uses the varied brain areas that I spoke about. And another reason to continue to have the child do motions that cross midline or use two hands together, which is called bilateral integration. It's so important because about the ages of 5 and 6 is also when a child is going to establish hand dominance. You still might see your child switching hands. Maybe they'll color with one hand and pick up the scissor with the other hand and use it. And that's okay, but we really want to encourage a child to continue to use the side of their body that is most dominant. And I do realize there are some adults and teenagers that use both sides of the body. Maybe for sports, they might bat left-handed and they might eat and write with their right hand. But we really want to look at hand dominance at this age as well. So therefore, I just want to continue to emphasize that if these gross motor movements are automatic, strong, and fluid, then the child will have good posture and positioning, and then they will support the child and they can focus on these other more important areas, such as reading, writing, visual recognition, scanning. They need the head control to be able to scan around the room, fine motor control, and eventually sequencing and motor planning, which is using new skills. Now, I'll put up some pictures of some of these activities, but some great gross motor skills that incorporate many muscle groups in the body are things such as hopping on one foot and then hopping on the other foot, seeing how long the child can balance on one leg and then the other. You can kind of make it like a little competition. Stepping stones. You can use things out in the yard as stepping stones. You can do a directionality maze where you put papers on the floor with little arrows, so the child has to hop and point their feet in different directions. All right, this is a quick and short example of a directionality maze that I spoke about, just to get some gross motor movement and some proprioceptive input into your child's joints. So they would start on the first arrow, 2 feet together, their toes pointing the direction of the arrow, and then as they hopped to the next arrow, they would need to point their toes in the direction the arrow is pointing. So they're spinning their body around, and they're also following directionality, and every time they hop, they're getting good input into their muscles and their whole body. All right, this is just an example. You can make it longer. You can use footprints instead, but I just wanted to show you how you can begin to set something up like this. Beanbag toss, great activity, or a cornhole. A balloon volley is also good. All you need is a balloon, and just tap it back and forth with your child, focusing on tapping it to one side of the body and the other, or tell them they can only use their right hand and tap the balloon in all different planes around them. Basketball shooting, hitting a softball toss lightly to them, or even if you can make a balance beam out of old boards you might have outside or in the garage and just, make a little course with them and have them balance on it. Writing out letters in the air, or writing out their name, or shapes. You can tell them to do a triangle with their left hand and maybe a square with their right hand. And also, if you don't have boards for a balance beam, you can take painter's tape and put that in the floor in like a zigzag pattern and have them walk on it heel to toe to promote balance and also directionality. You could do an obstacle course out in the yard using lawn furniture or anything they can jump over or climb under. And skipping, always a challenging activity, and hopscotch is a great one as well. I'm also going to put up some websites that are great for doing things that have a gross motor or whole body movement. Go Noodle is a good one, and I'll also list a few other ones here. All right, so I just wanted to reiterate today the importance of gross motor skills and continue to encourage your child to do these things to help develop those movements so that when they need to focus more on the fine motor movements, their body's all ready for it. Okay, thank you very much and have a great day.